Hello and welcome to Stateside with me, Graham Hughes. It is Monday the 15th of December 2025 and Trump has hit a new low. But first of all, just a big shout out to people in the chat. We've got Martin there, we've got Chris C, Sarah Davis and Diz, and blah blah CW. Richard is in there as well. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and wait for approximately 60 seconds and you'll be able to join in with the chat. We're just going to be talking about how much of a scumbag Trump is this morning. That's what we're going to be talking about this morning, because Trump is, oh my God, such a scumbag, such a scumbag that he is going to single-handedly drag every single one of the absolute clanging, dick-headed, bastard, fuckwit, knob-headed shitwanks who voted for him in the last election, and the election before that, and the election before that. 77 million Americans. He's going to drag every single motherfucking one of them to hell with him. If hell exists, which I hope it does. You know, honestly, up to this point, I was like, no. I'm gonna see if I can get. I'm just gonna see if. Scott's birthday today. So if you want to send any messages to Scott, I will pass them on. He was hoping to join us tonight, but I don't think he's going to be able to. So it's just going to be me. That's all right. We can talk about this together. But if Scott it can make it before the show finishes in about an hour's time, we'll get him on. We will get him on. 1 second. I've just got some. I've just got to. I've just got some housekeeping, darling, housekeeping. Though if there was a mine shaft and there was a snake at the bottom of it, Trump could wear a top hat and still get under it. Yeah. I think we're going to need some serious super chats tonight. Lol. Well, yeah. I mean, not for me. I mean, maybe for Scott, if you want me to pass him on, because it is his birthday today, which is nice. But let's see. We don't normally do that well in the late shows, but let's see. I've put 10 super chats, so nothing yet. hold your horses. Got to give it a couple of minutes actually from when I set it up, because otherwise it doesn't register. It's really annoying. It's a bit like the fact that it never seems to show the last emojis that I've brought up. Very strange. Apropos of nothing, I was just doing some banking before I came online on my phone. And it's one of those things, you know, when sometimes you want to do something and you have to go on the online version, on your browser to do the thing that you need to do in your bank. And so I did that, and it says, you need to log in. So I logged off on my phone on the app, and I did the generate security code thing, yeah? And then I got into the thing, and then I was doing the transfer, and it said to do this transfer, you have to do the security code thing again, but it's a different thing that you do at the beginning. So you don't log in, you go to the security, but I accidentally logged in because I'm an idiot. So then I pressed log off on my phone, and it logged me out on the computer as well. After I typed in all the fucking details of all the things that needs to be. Annoying. Grrr, elbows up from Canada. Hello. Simply Secular Dave. Nice to have you on board. Simply Secular Dave won't be agreeing with me that they're all going to burn in hell. I'm quite secular myself, my friend, and I want them. I want them to. I really, really want them to. So let's just tell you what happened. Last night, Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, 78 and 68 years old, respectively, were murdered, presumably by their own son, in LA. Nick Reiner has been arrested on suspicion of murder. His bail's been set at $4 million. And in response to this, there was obviously an outpouring of shock and grief and love towards Rob Reiner and his wife, except from Trump. Trump actually wrote this, and I need to read this to you. It's horrible. It's horrible. So brace yourselves if you haven't read it already. But this is what he wrote, okay? He wrote, "A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and comedy star who starred in and directed Spinal Tap 2, which only came out a couple of months ago. But tortured and struggling, apparently. And together with his wife, Michelle, he's passed away. That's the way he put it. Has passed away. I'm gonna bring this up. I'm gonna bring this up on the screen because I want to sort of read it as you're looking at it because it's so abhorrent. It's so disgusting, and I think that anyone who wants to pretend that Trump isn't anything else other than the most horrific human being to have ever existed, because at this point he's worse than Hitler. Like, Hitler never had Twitter or Truth Social, whatever the fuck this is. So, Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people, all caps, crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. I mean, for fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. I don't give a fuck about getting demonetized. I don't give a fuck about anything right now. Someone put a really funny tweet up about, what was it? They were saying that there's two things that are true. That two things that will never get old, right? Two things that will never get old. And they were Charlie Kirk jokes and Charlie Kirk. Anyway, Scott can't join us tonight, but there's a chance that our friend Mike Dix might be able to join us. So this is quite exciting. So I'm just going to set that up as I'm talking to you, and I'll try and read a few of your messages while we're making connections. We're making connections. Trump is beyond sick, says Chris C. You are not wrong, my friend. And he has posts printed out on his desk. If you don't do that if you wrote them. So you're saying that he didn't write this one. This looks very much like Trump wrote this. I couldn't see someone writing this on his behalf, because even some Republicans, not many, but even some Republicans are like, just what the actual fuck right now. Which is just, it's just so grim. It's just all so very, very fucking grim. Grimtastic. I think it's pretty spot on for the devil. Yeah, pet theory, Trump doesn't write his own tweets. He has someone to do it for him, says Andy. Trump would need a door butter to get through the door without making a pop sound. What? The door to hell? Yeah, I could see that. A door butter. Get him some door butter. And the words are too big. He probably has trouble with his own name. And that third person stuff, it's weird. Yeah, but that's why I think it's him. Honestly, that's kind of why I think it is actually him, because he is a weirdo. He's an absolute fucking weirdo. Cumry says, a lie is halfway around the world before the truth has got his trousers on, which is very true. And the good news is that we are now joined by Mike Dix. So when he's ready, and if we can hear him, I will transfer us over. Hello, Mike. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, sir. Nice to have you with us. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. So tonight, Mike, we're talking about Trump and what he said today.
Do we have to?
Well, it is stateside, so it kind of comes with the territory. a little bit.
Is it his condolences to the family of the
Yes,
famous film director that died today? Yeah,
yeah,
that's very
yeah.
very kind of him to come
His
straight out with his
no
comments, I thought.
condolences. His no condolences. His zero condolences.
Yeah, what an arsehole.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. No condolences. Patrick
nothing.
Schwarzenegger called Trump's statement disgusting and vile. Whoopi Goldberg has condemned him. Gavin Newsom has called him a sick man. Maxwell Alejandro Frost has labelled Trump's remarks despicable. Chris Murphy, who's the senator, says Trump is blaming the victims for their own murder. Representative Zoe Lofgren called the post a new low. And even Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said the murders should not be politicized. Republican Representative Thomas Massey has called Trump's remarks inappropriate and disrespectful. And Michelle Reiner, who's also died, been murdered, she photographed the cover of his book, Art of the Deal, in 1987.
Really?
Yeah.
She was the photographer.
She was the photographer.
I mean, it just beggars belief, doesn't it? What's the man playing at? Saying nothing would have been more appropriate in that situation.
I mean, I just read it out to the people at home, but I know you've got a copy of it there. Like, he actually goes off on one about the golden age of America at the end. And that the Trump administration has surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. I mean, it's like a parody. It's like a satire of, like, that's how they would. It's not often. I mean,
the thing is,
for words,
and it's not appropriate for a podcast, is it? Basically, but to be completely stumped for words. What do you say? I mean, does it surprise you, this behaviour from Donald Trump? Do you think this is out of character? No. And I think, if anything, it just shows that there's nobody controlling his social media anymore. Do you remember it used to be that they were spelt properly and sometimes thoughtful messages put out, and then he'd put out some bollocks afterwards?
Google Android or iPhone, because it used to sent by iPhone, and if it said that, you knew that it wasn't him or something. And there was, like, the official ones, and then there was the 3 o'clock in the morning toilet ones.
Yeah. You just get the feeling he's no longer invited to any of the meetings that are actually deciding anything. They're just doing fake meetings, and they leave him in a room with Fox News and Newsmax on so that he can sit there tweeting his bloody heart out, basically. I don't think there's anything you can say, is there? I mean, it's a horrific murder. It sounds like a terrible family situation as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's his son that's been arrested, isn't it?
Yeah.
Their son that's been arrested. It's just, and when you think about the outrage, including from Trump, about anybody saying anything about Charlie Kirk being killed.
Well, this is it. They've pushed for people to be sacked from work for saying things about Charlie
But just repeating Kirk's words.
Yeah.
And in this situation, Trump decides that rather than put a quote from Rob Reiner or something, it's perfectly sensible for him to come out with a load of bollocks, which will go down in history as the way people remember him, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine that even MAGA has got an issue with these people. Can you?
What, with Rob Reiner?
Yeah, I can't imagine what Rob or Michelle have done. Apparently, they've been a bit outspoken, like a number of people in Hollywood, about not liking Trump, but it's not like they're leading Antifa, is it?
Well, no one's leading Antifa. That's the scary thing.
I know we're supposed to tell. I know we're supposed to tell people that, Graham, but you get the memos just like me.
The Kirk thing, he was a future rival, says Andy. Yeah. Here's one comment from the DM. Trump's children are normal, healthy, and productive members of society. Liberal Democrats' children. We'll just read the headlines. Sucks to be Robbie Reiner and wife.
Who's that from?
Sorry?
Somebody said that in the papers, did you say?
Yeah, it's a comment from the Daily Mail, from the Daily Mail page of
So the
this.
children of Democrats now are targets, effectively.
Well, I guess so. I don't know. I
And
just
Eric Trump is some sort of like we should
yeah
hold him up as some
yeah.
sort of perfect sibling
But
or
Trump and
child.
the MAGA lot were making jokes about Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, being attacked with a hammer.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
thought it was funny. They thought that was a funny thing, and yet we can't laugh at the fact that the guy who said, said that we should have guns on college campuses got killed with a gun on a college campus. The guy
But
who
here's the
said prove
thing,
me wrong was
Graham.
proved wrong by a bullet.
I saw a Instagram. For some reason, I've managed to, having given up drink and cigarettes, I have managed to get myself slightly addicted to sliding Instagram videos and reels. And it is just as addictive. It's exactly the same dopamine hit, isn't it? But there was a good one. Two old, like very MAGA-looking Southern guys with beards and hats and everything else sitting there saying that they thought Donald Trump was being unfair because they'd taken away their ability to tell really racist jokes in response to the news in the bar because Trump just says it out loud now. So what are they? What are they supposed to do? All of a sudden, it was satire. But it's like you say, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene's on her own sort of doomed mission to rally the MAGA crowd around her instead of Trump, isn't she?
Yeah.
But this is the point. It's always the point about the left and the right, isn't it? I mean, I think I realise that Rob Reiner is a bit of a hero of yours, basically, and I put a joke in our politics social group probably a bit too early this morning, basically, because
Yeah, you
Aid had
did.
said something.
Yeah, you sick
It wasn't
fucker.
about them. It wasn't about them. It was that Aid said that something about Jesus, so it was a Jesus joke, to be honest with you. But it was inappropriate. And it's also something I wouldn't have said publicly at all, basically. And the left with Charlie Kirk, we were incredibly respectful for at least 24 hours. It's I think
I
that's
wasn't. I put on my
I know
Facebook,
you weren't.
is it one less Nazi or one fewer Nazi?
Do you ever look at it from their point of view? I honestly don't like. We could sit here and slag off Trump, but as I said to you right at the beginning of this, does this surprise you? Do you think this? In fact, this is him on his best behavior. This is him on his public behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, what he's saying behind closed door in the WhatsApp groups in the White House. Who knows? Who knows what he's saying? But I do worry that we're just the left and the right. Like we, partially cheer for Charlie Kirk being shot, and he partially cheers for a Democrat film director being killed by his own child. Director and his wife, sorry, partner.
But I would say that Rob Reiner didn't go out and actually make life worse for people across America. Charlie Kirk was one of these people who pushed for these abortion bans. He pushed for pushing trans people out of public life. He pushed for people having guns on college campuses. And that's why whenever there's a mass shooting in an American campus, no one even fucking blinks. Like, it's just Tuesday. Whereas something horrific happens like that in our country or in Australia or in Norway, that's a huge deal. That is absolutely massive and will change public policy as a result of that one event. Whereas it happens every other day in America. And it's been facilitated by people like Kirk. He can fuck off. Like I'm glad he is no longer with us. Whereas can anyone really say that about Rob Reiner, the guy who made Stand By Me?
When Harry Met Sally probably offended a couple of people. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
A Few Good Men.
Good film.
Like
it's a great film.
This guy, I mean, he made Spinal Tap. I haven't started watching Spinal Tap 2 yet. We've got it on our list to watch. Gonna have to watch it then. But this idea that he was a sad and angry man who has had this Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, it's a very American way of thinking. Now, I found this when I was traveling around the world because I found very quickly that people don't think about Britain. People don't think about people in other countries. It's not we're not the foremost thing in their mind at any one time.
No.
And
maybe Mr. Bean occasionally.
and I get that, and that's fine. And I wasn't expecting to find that, but there were a lot of shocked Americans who actually bothered to get out of America, who were shocked to find that what's going on in America doesn't occupy the minds of most people in the world. It just doesn't.
Sadly,
just getting on with their lives.
Sadly, it slightly does. Certainly us. Look at us.
Yeah, us, because we run a politics channel, my friend. What were you supposed to talk about?
Most people I know that are not really interested in politics, but I guess they know me, so they make an effort to talk about politics. But they do talk about Trump. They rarely, I very, very rarely have anyone whinging about Rachel or Keir or whatever, basically. It's almost always people, when they do talk politics, they talk about Trump, American politics. But you just reminded me, I used to have I have a lot of friends in America, but I used to spend a lot of time with them. And one who I have a huge amount of respect for, and is a very smart woman, but she once said to me, well, the problem with non-Americans is that they're not as intelligent really as us. That's why our television is the way it is. And I sat there and I said, can we just put the telly on just for 2 minutes? Pick a random channel and you prove to me that American television is more intelligent than ours, basically. But I think, and she's a perfectly liberal Democrat, worldly wise. She travels the world selling TV shows and games and whatever. It's like they're bred that way. They're brought up that way, basically. They genuinely believe it. It's the American dream. It's the,
I think it's shocking for a lot of Americans.
Big country, closed minds.
Do manage to travel and see the world, just, how thick we think they are. If it's ever brought up. I mean, it's often mentioned that half of Americans don't have passports.
Was it last week Trump said that he did a speech and he said that half of the European leaders want him to be the leader of Europe? Yeah.
Something like that.
And you go, you've been speaking to Viktor Orban too much again, basically. But then, even then, he probably doesn't mean Viktor Orban. I can't imagine he wants him to take over his country. He's on a cushy number. I imagine it's people like Farage talking to him, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want you to come and take over Europe. Everybody says so. And he'll just believe that.
Oh, it'd be very, very lucrative for Farage and his horrible little twat mates, wouldn't it? Viper Scott, thank you very much for the £2 super chat to get the goal started for Dizz's confetti fix. Oh, thank you so much for that, Alistair. That is very kind. And Plum says, I only visited the USA once. That was enough. I was glad to come home. There's not much in America, There's more things to see and do, I think, in Wales.
I've been a few times. The first time I went, it was a business trip. And I went to New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and then Toronto after that, which I know isn't the USA.
Atlanta. Tell me about Atlanta.
And Washington. We did Washington.
Tell me about Atlanta.
The only story I've got about Atlanta is we landed in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And we got into a cab that was full of crucifixes.
Cool.
With a black driver.
Yeah.
And the colleague I was with just kept nudging me and saying, don't tell him you're an atheist. Don't tell him you're an atheist. And then the guy turned around and says, you're a fucking atheist? Basically. And I'm thinking, okay, well, we're just going to die in Atlanta. That's what's going to happen. But then he turned out to be fine. He was amazing and very chatty. And then the other thing was, we got put in this hotel. And I'm supposed to be in it's like a single room just for me. And I walk in and there are 2 double beds in the room. All right. So I was just sitting there, I was just trying to work out what combination of humans has 2 double beds in a room next to each other. So I go down to the reception and say, I think you've put me in some kind of weird community room. And then I turned around and looked around me, and in Atlanta, a double bed is kind of a single bed. Basically, it was just a twin bedroom.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But the main, I'll tell you the thing I noticed in that trip. I think we were there for 5 days, and it was a different city every day. And what I did notice that everywhere you landed, it was like landing in a different country. They just happened to speak American.
Really? Do you think it's that different?
they were so culturally different. Just in that little instance that you grasp by being in each
Yeah.
of those cities. And then realizing that, the whole state. I sat in a bar one night talking to somebody in New York, guy and his daughter, and he said, "Oh, we like to travel. We're real travelers." It's sort of, "Oh, it's so great to meet somebody from the UK. How is the Queen?" Basically, and all that sort of
Do you know
stuff.
Larry?
Yeah, and then we got over that bit. And then I said, "Oh, it's really nice that you're traveling with your daughter." I said, "Where do you travel?" And he said, "Well, we've done San Francisco, LA, New York." And I said, "Have you lost your wife, or does she not travel?" She said, "Oh no, she won't leave the state." And I said, "Well, have you left the country?" And he went, "No, we haven't done that."
Oh, can't leave the country. Everything we
But
need is
then,
here. But I
then
would say the opposite
when
in
I
my
put
experience.
myself into their heads,
Yeah.
it's like, unlike you, most of my travel has been in Europe. I've traveled to quite a few countries in Europe, and I've done the North America, but I've not been to China or Asia or India, or I've done, Africa once. So it's a big country, America. There's a lot of people. I guess traveling to New York is quite a big thing for somebody from the Midwest.
The way I see it is I could get really drunk in a bar in New York and stumble out at 4 in the morning and be in LA. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference really. Do you know what I mean? Or I could be in Atlanta, or I could be in Houston, or I could be in Miami, or do you know, the weather might be different. That's it. The buildings all look
Yeah.
the fucking same. You go to
Yeah,
Atlanta,
well,
is there a famous museum? Is there a famous art gallery? Is there some... Ooh, we just got a £50 super chat off Plum Duff. Lay on, Plum
thank you,
Duff.
Plum Duff.
Thank you so much for the £50 mega chat. Mega chat. Thank you. Merry Christmas, Mike and Graham, and all you wonderful people in the chat who have consistently kept me sane throughout the year. Many thanks. I appreciate and love you all. Keep being the wonderful people that you are. Oh, that is so kind, Plum. That is so kind. I think that deserves confetti, doesn't it, Mike? Should we
I
launch
think
the
so.
confetti a little bit early? Let's do it. 3, 2,
Also-
1. Confetti! Yay! Merry Christmas! Thank you.
I'm a little worried that we are responsible for keeping Plum Duff sane. I think
Yes.
that's
Yeah, no.
find some better role models.
No.
quick, Plum Duff.
We're doing the best we can. But yeah, I mean, just to go back to the actual news today, the three main stories on the news were Rob Reiner and his wife being murdered, the horrific events in Sydney yesterday, and the sentencing review, not review, but the sentencing hearing for the guy who drove his car into the crowd in Liverpool last summer.
Yeah.
And it was like 3 stories that was so fucking grim. Like, so, oh my God. Like, what is wrong with humans? What the fuck is wrong with humans? And then I was getting set up to do the show this evening, and I see the message, about what Trump had written, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Seriously, humans, what the fuck? But yeah,
And they're not disconnected, are they? Because fundamentally, whether he's a symptom or the cause, Trump and Farage and people like that have encouraged,
violence.
It is like those 2 rednecks that say, he's ruined our lives because we can't tell racist jokes in the bar anymore. It's because he's doing them on TV. It's kind of that. It's the Overton window, isn't it? The whole thing has shifted towards political violence being perfectly acceptable as long as it's against the people I dislike.
Yeah.
And that perpetrates everywhere, doesn't it? It's I noticed as well that he came out commenting about Ahmed, the guy that brought down one of the shooters in Bondi, which is an incredible feat of bravery. There's whatever stories come out about that guy, because I'm sure the press will now be digging all through his social media and everything to find something to talk about. But whatever stories come out, what he did was remarkable.
Yeah. He saved lives.
But it just then becomes a distraction from the 20 people that were shot, and this is a personal thing, just because I've gone through a day of trying to organise various invasive hospital appointments. I was just thinking about the people that didn't die. You know, the people that get wounded in these situations, the people that end up with huge hospital bills as a result of this, the people that end up with, you know, chronic pain as a result of being shot through their shoulder blade or whatever.
Yeah.
The impact of these bastards is immense. And I did a post about it today and got a few. I always think the best comment, whenever I comment about religion, the best comments I get are always from Church of England people, normally from vicars, because I think they're the only ones out of the lot that don't really believe in God, basically.
They like the ceremony.
Yeah, but I did this post that just
community.
said, for fuck's sake, stop shooting each other. It's the same freaking God. You know.
Different flavour of God pop. But yeah, but just to say about America, like just not being like the be all and end all, I think it does need to be taken down a peg or two. Because another thing about the buildings all looking the same, the food's all the same. Everywhere. The food is the fucking same. Yeah. Unless you can afford a Michelin star restaurant, which most people can't, it's pizza. Tex-Mex. And it's but it's not like you can go to all these different pizza places, maybe in like Chicago or something, but most places it's Pizza Hut. Yeah. You want a burger, it's McDonald's or Carl's Jr. or Arby's, heaven forfend. You know, they have the same chains everywhere, the same shops over and over again, the same adverts over and over again. All of the roads look the same. This is why I hate the grid system. I think it appeals to people who have a certain different brain chemistry to me. A grid that makes them happy. And numbering them and lettering them makes them happy as well. It does not make me happy. I like all squiggly lines. I like the spokes of the roads going out from the center. You know, like a spider's web, like a drunken spider's web. That's what I like. I like each lane to have a different name. I like it to change 10 times over the course of a 1 mile road. I want the name to change of the road because fuck it, why not?
It's like many things in our imperial history. We get so much flack from the Scots, the English do basically, but the grid road system was a Scottish engineer that introduced that basically.
It feels a bit Presbyterian, doesn't it?
It's very Glaswegian. You get to Glasgow, it's on a grid. Yeah, it's on a grid.
Yeah.
And New York was modelled on Glasgow, not York, basically.
That's just loads of higgledy-piggledy streets going there. But
in fact, you can only imagine. I don't know how this happened. Somebody in the chat might actually have the historical information as to why we ended up calling it New York instead of, you know, when we took over New Amsterdam. Mm. But I imagine a Scottish engineer and a Scottish slave trader started building the city, basically. And then when it came to naming it, they went, well, we can't call it anything from Scotland. We'll go York, that's nearly Scotland, basically. That'll do.
Well, Toronto was York, wasn't it? It used to be York.
Was it? I didn't know.
And New York used to be New Amsterdam. When the Dutch had it, and then they changed to New York. Yeah. But yeah, so there was York and New York, which is a bit confusing.
I only found this out the other day. I'd always thought that the Spanish actually owned California and San Antonio and all those places around the West Coast, and that's why they'd all got Spanish names, Las Vegas, etc., etc. But it wasn't. It was the Mexicans.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's all part of Mexico.
Totally
stolen
ignorant.
By the Yanks, and then they moan about all the Mexicans being there.
Yeah, it's just a shame. It's just a shame they gave them Spanish names before they ended up doing that stupid deal after the Civil Wars. Basically, they should have left them with Mexican names just to really rub it in. That would have been perfect.
But I've from my experience traveling around America, especially on the Greyhound bus, and sort of seeing the freeway system for all its fucking worth. It's horrible. It's just a concrete fucking slog. I don't see anything romantic or appealing about it. Even New York, there's a couple of buildings in New York, 3 buildings, the Flatiron Building, Chrysler Building, and the Empire State, which are Art Deco, whatever. They look fucking cool. They look cool. They're cool buildings. Everything else, it's a fucking box. It's a big fucking steel and glass and concrete box.
I gotta say, as a city boy, somebody that loves living in the city, I did love New York. San Francisco even more so. I
Yeah.
think they were great places.
Not been to San
And I
Francisco
stayed
yet.
in.
I think I would
worked
like
in
San Francisco
Chicago.
more just because it's on hills. It's a bit more dramatic.
San Francisco is excellent, or it was when I went. But
Mm.
and I also was in Chicago for a while. I did a couple of weeks' work there and stayed in somebody's house downtown, which was really. It's like all cities. Like, there's great people and there's great. So outside of the CBD area, they're not bad. But Chicago was the one that really was marked for me. It was a very American city, which was that there was quite a wealthy city centre, but then you can feel yourself cross the border into poverty so easily. You walk under a elevated railway track, and all of a sudden you go, oh, okay, I'm probably not in a space that I understand fully. Basically, I have to be careful.
Yeah.
But the poverty line, unlike London, where it sort of blends quite a lot, there's a definite poverty line in most American cities.
8 Mile.
It just switches. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where they put the Greyhound bus station usually. But yeah, no, I think that for the 13 original colonies, they have a bit of a culture to them, but I don't think that the culture of New Jersey is that different to New York, and I don't think it's that different to Massachusetts. It's pretty similar, it's a Jersey thing. I mean, but it's also a Boston thing. I mean, you're not that different. And then I suppose Key West down in Florida, that's a bit different. But when it comes to the cities, I do think that the kind of a muchness, they're quite interchangeable. Like maybe get out of New York then and say, Trenton, New Jersey. It's very, very similar to Indianapolis in Indonesia. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Indonesia.
in Indiana. In Indiana.
53rd state.
See you tomorrow, Indonesia Jones. But yeah, I
think it's always like that though with empire, and it's a new country, isn't it? It's 200. They still think a building that's 100 years old is really, really old, basically. Yeah. So
it doesn't stop them knocking it down, does it?
I was just listening to The Rest Is History about Jack the Ripper. The reason this tangent came up will become evident. It's just one of those things where you start working out timelines, and there was a period of speculation about who Jack the Ripper was, that he might well be a Native American Indian. And there was a lot of press coverage about that because of the way that the women were mutilated. And it was because, what's his name? Wild Bill
Hiccup.
No, what's the guy that did the Wild West show?
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill. Buffalo Bill, the year before, had been in England celebrating Queen Victoria's 50th year on the throne or whatever it is, basically. And you just suddenly start to think, and then there was a rumor that it was cowboys. And you just kind of forget that they're, the key bit of history we know about America, the cowboy time, was actually at exactly the same time as Queen Victoria, Jack the Ripper, and Conan Doyle, and and then the Wright brothers and stuff like that. It's kind of weird. Maybe because Hollywood just stretches that period of their history out to be.
Oh, they do. I mean, the Wild West, the westerns in Hollywood, that period of time when they made westerns, it lasted longer than the Wild West.
yeah, exactly.
Do you know when the last person to collect a pension for the American Civil War drew their last pension check from the American government?
I think I've heard it, but forgotten it. But it was recently, wasn't it?
2020.
2020.
2020. Her name was Irene Triplett. She died at the age of 90. Her father fought for the Civil War, which began in 1861. And he applied for the Union pension 20 years after the war. And in 1930, when his daughter was born, he was 83 years old. And she lived till she was 90.
Well, I was watching something the other day that said that America, up until about 1920, was still pretty much an agricultural economy.
Yeah.
It was only after the First World War and its sort of shift into global politics, etc., that it made more use of its minerals. But it was something like a 70% agriculture.
Ford as well, bringing in the because there was just so much land. One of the problems that Britain has always had since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, one of the things that drove the empire building was food. We couldn't we didn't have enough room to make the food that we needed. So that was a huge issue, and that's why we went around the world looking for places where we could grow food, we could grow things, and then the problem was trying to get it back before it started to rot.
Before us, it was the same problem for the Vikings, wasn't it? Basically?
Yeah. That's the reason why
they came here first.
That's the first time they went to Iceland. I think the first 2 harvests were amazing, but because it was all volcanic, it was really shallow, good soil. Like the nutrients were really shallow. And then once they'd done a couple of harvests, that was it. They couldn't grow anything. Everything they grew was shit. So yeah, Iceland was a particularly difficult place to live. Greenland, particularly difficult. They landed in North America.
Specifically as a marketing trick.
Yeah.
Greenland.
It sounds lovely, doesn't it? Go on, head over to Greenland.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't want to dunk on America too much. I do. But like, I feel similar about Australia. And here's the thing, right? When I think of Australia, I think of like Australian culture. I think of didgeridoos, boomerangs, those brilliant dot and line pictures.
Yeah.
I think of Dreamtime. I think of the Rainbow Serpent. I think of Aboriginal culture. Because I don't think there is an Australian culture. What is it? You have a beer and a barbecue. We have beers here. We have barbecues here. Pies.
I didn't know this, but pies apparently is a huge thing as well.
Yeah, if you go to the chippy, you get pork and chips and a pie.
Yeah.
But we do that here. Like it's not distinctly Australian.
No, I'm just saying that's pretty much their only cultural thing, basically. Well, I think the only difference is they treat them like we do burgers.
Yeah.
That's literally the only difference. Yeah. You go and buy a pie and you just eat it.
Yeah.
Rather than sit down and put gravy on it, basically.
But in the same way that I don't think America celebrates Native Americans enough in its culture, in its history, I don't think Australia celebrates Aboriginal culture as much as they probably should, because it's an Aboriginal country that they invaded. But I think it's something that New Zealand doesn't get perfectly right, but it gets right a lot better than those other countries in the way that the relationship between the European settlers and the Maoris who were already there, and the Maori culture is very, very strong in New Zealand. You have the haka at the rugby. You have the famous sort of Polynesian or Maori tattoos and things like that. And there's a lot of films and literature and culture written about the Maori people. I'm not saying it's perfect, but no, don't at me. Someone from like a Maori culture is like, "Yeah, fuck you, Graham. You're full of shit." But it's a lot better than the relationship that the Americans have with Native Americans.
Isn't it about the timing? Because like we're calling them Americans and Australians that invaded the place, but it wasn't. It was us and the French and the Spanish. The more I was looking into the Mexican history of Mexico recently for various reasons, and I hadn't realized the extent to which the French were involved in it in a massive way.
Yeah.
In fact, they turned the course badly in most cases of most of their conflicts, in one way or another.
Yeah.
Largely, I think the French during that period spent most of their time just going, how can we fuck off the British?
Yes. Well, that's why they supported America in the War of Independence. It was essentially a proxy war between Britain and France. And Britain just couldn't be arsed. It just went on whatever at the time.
Keep it.
It was kind of revenge by the French for losing the 7-Year War, which lost them Canada. They wanted revenge, and these American rebels were like, we don't have to pay any taxes. So they started their own country where there's no taxes. Except all those taxes you got to pay. I know the way the Americans think there's no taxes because they don't write the VAT on the price of anything. So you pick up like a chocolate bar and it's like $1, and you turn up, you put $1 down, and they're like, no, it's $1.21.
Yeah,
got to add 21% or 7.5% or something, and you're like, I'm trying to work this out in my head.
Trump's been clamping down on that, on people putting tariff prices on the price tickets. Isn't
Yeah,
he? He's trying to make that illegal as well.
I love it when he talks about the money that he's made from tariffs, and you're like, you just collected that from your own people. It's like the sheriff in Nottingham going around collecting all the money from the peasants, all the potatoes, and then sitting there.
Look how well we're doing.
Look how well we're doing. Look at all these potatoes I got. And all the people are fucking starving in the village, and he's like, "Ha! I'm so good." But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really good. Made a list. I made a list of Trump shitness because this has got to go down in the list. Can I just quickly rattle through this list? It's going to take about 5 minutes.
I was going to say, is it possible to do it quickly? I doubt it.
I'm going to do it as quickly as possible. This is just the top 20, I think. Awful things he's done. Right, it might be a bit more than 20. So, repeatedly claimed that the 2020 US presidential election was stolen, despite no evidence and dozens of failed court cases, pressured state officials, including Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, to find votes to overturn election results, incited the political climate that led to the 6th of January 2021 attack on the US Capitol after urging his supporters to fight like hell, failed to act for hours while the Capitol was under attack, despite being urged to intervene by fellow lawmakers, impeached twice by the US House of Representatives, once over Ukrainian pressure, once over January the 6th, praised or refused to condemn far-right and extremist groups on multiple occasions, including telling the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by, implemented a policy separating migrant children from their parents at the US-Mexican border, oversaw the detention of migrant children in overcrowded facilities with documented case of neglect and sexual abuse, attempted to ban travelers from several Muslim-majority countries via executive power, publicly mocked a disabled reporter during the 2015 campaign rally, repeatedly referred to women using derogatory language, including being caught on tape boasting about sexual assault, being found liable for sexual abuse in the New York civil court case involving E. Jean Carroll, found liable for defamation for attacking Carroll after the verdict, paid hush money to silence allegations of an affair during the 2016 campaign, later becoming the basis of criminal charges, indicted on multiple criminal counts across several jurisdictions, federal and state, removed the US from the Paris Climate Agreement, rolled back dozens of environmental protections, downplayed the severity of COVID-19 while privately acknowledging its danger, suggested unproven and dangerous COVID treatments during the White House briefings, oversaw a US COVID death toll exceeding 400,000 by the end of his first term, pardoned political allies convicted of crimes, including Roger Stone and Michael Flynn, fired or attacked inspectors general investigating his administration, repeatedly attacked the press, calling journalists enemies of the people, used the presidency to promote his private businesses, refused to divest fully from his business interests while in office, withheld military aid to Ukraine by pressuring the government to investigate a political rival's grown-up child, publicly praised authoritarian leaders, including Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and Viktor Orban, attempted to overturn the Affordable Care Act without a replacement plan, appointed Supreme Court justices who later helped overturn Roe versus Wade, repeatedly used racist language, including some describing countries as shithole countries, tweeted white nationalist and extremist content on social media, attacked judges, prosecutors, and jurors in cases against him, refused to commit to a peaceful transfer of power, kept classified documents after leaving office and resisted returning them, attacked election workers, leading to threats against private citizens, used dehumanizing language towards migrants, including calling them animals, made false claims about crime, immigration, and elections repeatedly while in office, used presidential platforms to spread personal grievances and conspiracy theories. And that is all before he was elected this time. That was before he came into the White House. That doesn't include all the shit he's done since January.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing. One of those things would be enough to sink a left-wing politician.
Yeah. Have you seen Legal Eagle's rundown of all the crimes he's committed since he became president? He became president.
Yeah. Isn't there like hundreds of them?
Yeah. It's like a 40-minute show. And it's literally just him doing what you just did and listing all of them. Because they go on so long. And it is unbelievable. It is crazy. It is fundamentally unbelievable as to how he's getting away with it. I mean, that's the thing that baffles me every day. It's like you were saying about how do you post something like that about a beloved filmmaker, etc., and a terrible bereavement? Yeah. How do you post something like that and get away with it? If Keir Starmer, can you imagine? I mean, I don't know what Rob Reiner's status is in the States. You'd know better than me as to where he is in the sort of showbiz world.
Absolutely beloved.
Highly regarded.
Highly regarded filmmaker, made some of the greatest films. Made The Princess Bride, for fuck's sake. One of the most beloved films of all time. And so he just seemed like a really nice guy. Everyone seemed to like working with him.
In the UK, we're talking about sort of Richard Curtis, aren't we? Or Danny Boyle, maybe, or something like that. Is that about
Danny Boyle?
Yeah. So Keir Starmer coming out saying, well, it's a good fucking job Danny Boyle got shot in the face, isn't it, basically?
Yeah.
you know,
Because he didn't like me. He didn't vote for me in the last election. He voted for the Lib Dems, the bastard.
Can I
He
just
voted for
tell
the
the chat?
SNP.
Can I just tell the chat? It's Scott's birthday, not my birthday.
Yes, it's Scott's birthday today.
I'll happily accept presents, but not the kind of presents you'd send Scott.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to Scott, our good friend Scott.
Cumry says, when the racist Americans and English people say, when are the immigrants going home, the Welsh and the native Americans laugh and ask them, when are you going? Yeah, Cumry, I'm sure that's said in Patagonia as well, mate. Just saying.
Ooh,
but yeah, people move, and we should embrace it, and we shouldn't be this kind of, I don't know, angry, aggressive. People gave the country. There was a story in the Mail today about them complaining. They were complaining about all the people from Poland going back to Poland. First of all, they're like, "Oh, fuck off! I hate you all." And next, it's, "Oh, please come back." Where are you going?
I am increasingly coming to the opinion that it is just human nature, that we've just always done this. There's no golden period where we were not racists. And I think there's probably a collection of progressive people who've just been constantly trying to shove the line a little bit upwards and go, let's be a little bit less racist. Let's just try and be a little bit less. Can we try again? Be a little bit less. Because again, it's like, I watch a lot of history stuff and read a lot of history stuff. You know, in Mexico, they effectively had a caste system based on the level of Spanishness that you'd got in your family. I think there were 5 different categorizations.
There was mulatto. There was I wouldn't be able to name them all, but you're absolutely right. And it was all to do with your heritage, the color of your skin, and you could have almost a reflection. Surname, but you could have slightly darker skin, and then you'd be treated worse than someone with the same surname from the same family lineage, but who had lighter shades of skin. That happens in India as well,
like the caste system, exactly.
Lighter-skinned Indian people get treated better generally within the caste system that still exists in India than those with darker skin who are seen as, labourers, people who are out in the sun all day, or people from southern India who are seen as,
and then
poorer,
in the Rest of History show that I was watching today, the speculation around who killed Jack the Ripper, most of it was all racist. The majority of it was racist. It was either the Jews or the Russians or American Indians or Americans or cowboys. It
couldn't be one of ours.
Couldn't possibly have been a British person. Yeah. So, and I think, I don't know, if you go back, well, certainly if you go back to the 1700s, obviously it was happening because that's how Mexico got formed. So I'm guessing it's just always been the way.
Yeah.
And that we just gradually progress a little bit each time, but I think a few steps back.
I think in every
is there a nirvana that we will ever end up in where actually everybody is like all nice, the coffee-colored people by the score type approach? Basically, I don't know.
I don't think that would ever happen. I don't think, because it would be like the ginger gene is recessive. It will crop up now and again in future generations. I think that the idea that one day we'll all be a shade of brown, like mid-brown, is a little bit. I don't know if that's biologically sound. I don't know if that's
possibly not
scientifically.
I mean, we actually are all a shade of.
Well, we are. Basically, well, it's one of the reasons why I don't particularly like the phrase "people of color," because it makes it sound like white people are default.
Yeah,
the default when we're not. In fact,
we're pink people,
white people, or Caucasian as we're called, which I don't like that term. I'm not from the Caucasus. What's that? That's Azerbaijan and Armenia.
Yeah, I've never really understood.
I don't look like Liam Gallagher. I don't look like the Hood from fucking the Thunderbirds. Do you know what I mean? I don't have massive fucking, twatty eyebrows like Jake Gyllenhaal. Do you know what I mean? I'm a ginge. I'm a variance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that.
Have you been watching the Battle Between Land and Sea on the BBC?
No.
It's a Doctor Who spin-off series that I managed to catch, and it's very much in that genre of you do sit there with questions and you go, they're not going to be answered. It's a 30-minute show. It's just not going to. It's not actually going to explain how the world came together to form a diplomatic union to negotiate with the undersea realms. But right, once you get yourself over that and realize it's a cartoon, it's just this classic story of we discover this millennial old, millions of years old civilization that's been living under the sea with a higher level of technology and communion with nature, and we
Yeah,
decide to go to war with it.
of course.
Immediately. So,
Yeah.
it's just
It
human nature.
but I would push back a little bit on that, because I think that it's people will be racist if you allow if you teach them to be racist. I don't think I've met many racist children, little kids. If you get
No.
little kids and put them in a room together from India, from Africa, from South America, from Europe, Inuits from Canada, and they'll all play together. They don't have to speak the same
Yeah.
language, but they'll find games to play. They'll try, and I think that people
It's
are
cultural.
taught
You're right.
to be
Absolutely.
racist, and also I think that people who grow up in cities, especially cities on the coast, are generally more accepting of people from other places. And we see this
Yeah.
time and time again. The most racist redneck places in the world, whether it's in the UK, Lincolnshire, or whether it's in America, in Kentucky, or in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. It's always in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. It's always miles from the coast, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then they're never particularly, and it's because you have this sort of, you either have everyone there's white, pretty much, or you have the ghettoization, which I think you have a lot more in America. It is shocking, and you mentioned Georgia, didn't you? You mentioned Atlanta. It is shocking the
Atlanta's
way that people are segregated in those places. And they don't see it. We can, as outsiders, we go in and go, fucking hell, this is a bit much.
Yeah.
But then again, you get that in Northern Ireland. Go down the wrong street, it's got one street's got all island flags up, one's got Union flags up on it, and you're like, oh, okay, it's a bit intimidating.
Yeah, little bit safer to do it nowadays than it was 30 years ago. But
yeah.
No, you're right. It's definitely learned behaviour, isn't it? I was watching. Have you seen the Jubilee thing where they put 20 people around the speaker, and there was one on today with the guy who's actually really impressive, and I can't remember his name, but it's the guy running for Senate in Texas, Democrat, but very Christian pastor type young guy. And he talks an awful lot of sense, and also drips it with Jesus words, basically, to make it, cross the line into republicanism.
Yeah.
But he was saying a really interesting thing. There was a guy sat down who's a middle of the road independent voter, supposedly trying to be persuaded by this Democrat, and he just said the problem with welfare. He said when they took away the SNAP payments, a few weeks ago. He said, that caused me a problem for my family. But he said, and I used to think it was a good idea to give SNAP benefits to everybody, but now I don't. And this guy, the senator, says, well, why? Tell me what's happened, brother. And he says, well, I just put a post on Facebook saying that we couldn't afford to eat, and America came to my aid and provided for me. So why do we need government? And the senator just sat there. The senator just sat there and said, no, look, you're right. And this is where I think we and the Democrats need to be getting this right now, which is, he said, you're right. And the big problem is you've been told government is something other than what I think government is. Government is what Jesus said, which is love thy neighbor. But then Jesus went on to expressly say, when I say neighbor, I kind of mean people you don't know and you don't trust, and they've got nothing culturally to do with you.
Yeah.
Right. And he said, whereas you're talking about you and your family and the you and your families that came out on Facebook to help you. But he said, but the point of government is that's just us looking after our neighbours. It's us organising ourselves so that you don't have to go on Facebook and humiliate yourself to ask for food, basically. And the guy couldn't see it because although he sounded very much like a Democrat the way he was talking, was certainly, middle of the road independent. He was begrudging the fact that there were people screwing the system somewhere along the line. It's that classic line of, why give benefits to everybody because somebody's screwing it, and then treating government as if it's a completely separate entity to a human society.
Yeah. We get this so many times with these, these attempts to create a community of libertarians, and they live together for a couple of weeks, and then someone's like, shit, someone's going to clean the sewer. Oh, fuck, I don't want to clean the sewer. Who wants to clean the sewer? I don't want to fucking clean the fucking sewer. can we pay someone to pay? I'm not paying to clean the fucking sewer. I only use 1/50th of the sewer. Well, I only use 1/50th as well. All right, I'll tell you what, why don't we get someone to clean the sewer, right? And we'll all chip in together and we'll all pay them to do that job that needs doing, and that we don't want to do ourselves together. And they're like, yeah, that sounds really good. Oh my God, that's socialism. Ah! I was like, yeah, that's what it is. It's not scary. It's sensible. It's the most, I think it's the most logical way of running a society is that everyone chips in and you get what you need out of that society. I don't need certain medication at the moment, do I? But like, if I did one day, I would want to have that.
Yeah. And I think it's, we've, I don't know when exactly, like, certainly I think it's pretty much always been like this in my lifetime, really. But we seem to have lost this connection as to what government representatives are, what public servants are, what government is, basically. We've just lost that connection. And weirdly, in a world where Keir Starmer can appear on your phone, supposedly with a personal message for you or send you a personal email, etc., it's got worse, if anything. And that feels even more fake. And our political system as well. Like, I had a great relationship with my local MP when he wasn't in government, and now you don't see him basically, so ever. So you don't. It's like it's perfectly fine to be in touch with the opposition MPs, but then they get in government, and just by the nature of the job, I guess, basically, etc., they haven't got the time anymore to be part of the community that they're actually representing, or supposedly. So we've got problems. We need to fix those things. But it literally just should be. We've talked about this in this group, on a Friday night in particular. Just the nature of the community within this group. I see it in here all the time. I see it in the chat where people are looking out for each other. People are, etc.
Yeah.
And it's about how do you replicate all of that without too many of the difficulties. But then this struck me this week that we managed to create a divisive society within the Politics Social WhatsApp group this week when we started talking about Android and Apple phones.
We all went native.
Definitely it
was like Lord of the Flies, wasn't it? We're all gathered around the phone going, kill the pig, kill the pig.
iPhone flags.
Getting the spears out and stabbing them. Little bastard, just let me open the PDF.
But it's funny, isn't it?
Not the right format. I'm not going to open this.
You can totally see how it happens, how that divisiveness happens. It's what Swift talked about in Gulliver's Travels, isn't it? Which end do you
Taylor
open
Swift.
your eggs? I was thinking of. I'm trying to go a bit more highbrow than Taylor, but I'm sure Taylor has written lyrics about Lilliputians, has she?
She might have mentioned it in the chat. She's very good in the old lyrical department. She's a good musician.
I'm sure she has talked about the differences between one country and another. I'm sure she has.
Yeah, she's a fantastic performer. She just she sits down at the piano and she can play a tune.
This is where divisiveness is going to come in. I'm good. I'm definitely on the actually meh. I can't.
That's fine.
We've had this debate before.
I'm not going to get that passionate about Taylor Swift. If you say the Beatles are overrated, we might have a problem. But other than that,
I mean, Liverpool in general is quite overrated.
Fuck you. I'm very aware that there's two genres of music in the world. The stuff you like and the stuff you don't like. That's it. They're your two genres. But yeah, I just to go back to America and what I think is particularly sort of a problem with the country at the moment, going back to what you were saying about not appreciating government, I don't think that America appreciates its history. And to be honest with you, I don't think that Britain appreciates its history either. No, because we don't know a lot of the history of this country and what we did in other countries. And I'm not saying this to say that we should feel terrible about it or that we should big ourselves up about it. I'm saying I just want people to know. But loads of kids come out of school and all they learned about was that World War I was hell and World War II we beat the Nazis. Yeah. That's it. And no wonder everything's fucking Spitfires and poppies all the fucking time because they don't know about the Boer War. They don't know about the 7-Year War. They don't know about the 100-Year War. They don't know about the English Civil War. They don't know about the Glorious Revolution. They don't know about the Acts of Union. They don't know
No.
about the
Well, and also,
famine in Ireland.
I think I did a podcast episode last year, just reading about something, and it was about the 1945 Labour government and the manifesto of the Labour government. And they talked in that 1945 manifesto about the corruption of Tory ministers during the war. And you go, whoa, hang on. What?
This sounds familiar.
I'm going to go down a rabbit hole now and find out what that was all about, basically.
But yeah.
So even the version of that history that we're taught is not really a reflection of what really happened most of the time.
But America likes to make stories. America likes to tell stories about its own history a lot more than any other country on earth. It tells stories about its history, but it does seem to have a bit of a blind spot when it comes to shitty things that America did and stuff that America should understand, like what makes America America. And I thought it was really fucking telling that last week when this document came out from the Trump administration talking about defense in the future and saying that Europe is decaying and Europe's falling apart. Why is it falling apart? Because of all of the immigrants coming from elsewhere. And I'm sitting there going, Trump,
America.
You're married to an immigrant. Your children are all half immigrants. Your first wife was an immigrant. Your dad was an immigrant. Like, fuck off. Your country was built on immigrants.
Yeah.
And he's turning around to us going, yeah, well, watch out for those immigrants because you'll end up like North Korea.
But, I mean, a lot of Americans get it, don't they? Because I was watching an Instagram video today of it was quite funny. There was a guy who comes up to a Korean-looking woman or an Asian-looking woman and says, hey, where are you from? And she said, San Francisco. And he said, yeah, but where are you, like, from? And she said, San Francisco. And he says, yeah, but okay, where's your family from? And she says, oh, well, South Korea, from Seoul. My granddad was. And he says, yeah, I thought so. And then he starts trying to ingratiate himself, saying, I really love noodles and you know, barbecue this and whatever. There's a great Korean restaurant just near me and I go there all the time. I've got a Samsung phone. Look, I'm really cool. I really like it. And she turns around to him and says, where are you from? And he says, oh, I'm just American. And she said, no, but where are you really from? And he looks at her and he says, well, I guess England. And she says, all right, governor, that's lovely. I love a bit of fish and chips, me.
Jelly deals. We've just got $5 Canadian. That's very cool. Thank you very much to Deborah for the $5 Canadian. The only thing the rich want people to know is what's required to perform labor, nothing more. Well, yeah, and this is one of the other things I mean. So I think we should appreciate our culture more, and the history behind why the Pavilion in Brighton looks the way it does, why the Grand Central in Liverpool looks the way it does, because there was influence coming from all over the world to this country. And we should celebrate that, and you know, we should obviously give the stuff back that we stole, but the stuff that we built ourselves, that's really cool.
The Pavilion in Brighton is a funny. I mean, it's a funny story about a rich fat bastard, basically. But yeah. Prince George had a mistress down here who lived opposite where the Pavilion is now, and in order to impress her, he brought a manor house that stood there, a 4 or 5 bedroom manor house. And then he got it redesigned into this beautiful romantic palace that looked like an Indian palace. But he'd never been to India, and nor had the architect. So they built something that Indians look at and go, yeah.
Oh no, Mike has frozen.
That's not really us, basically. And the best thing about this story is that the mistress, who was a typical Brighton woman of her day, basically, just went, yeah, whatever. Still not shagging yet, basically. She was called the Queen of Brighton for many years.
The Queen of Brighton. Nice.
Also, in the First World War, when Indian troops who were fighting in the trenches, shock horror, there were lots and lots of Indians fighting in Europe on our behalf. Yeah. When they got injured, they brought them over here and they turned the Pavilion into a hospital for them. And all these Indian soldiers obviously were all lower caste, working class kids, and they'd never been inside a palace in their lives, basically. But everybody in England was kind of going, well, this is how you live, isn't it? Obviously.
Yeah. And I think we need more of that, but also I think we need an appreciation of. We've said this before, haven't we, about immigrants coming here and why it's so important that happens, and just for demographics alone, but also the economy, but also about culture. People bring awesome shit with them. Think about all the street food that we have in this country over the last 20 years. That sector has really expanded, and it's fucking brilliant. I absolutely love it. Think about what we eat when we go out. If we go out for a Friday night out, we'll have a fucking kebab. That's not from here. People go out for an Indian meal. People go out for a Chinese takeaway. People go out.
I went for a great Lebanese. Actually, if I did.
Oh, nice.
This show is not sponsored, but the Blue Man Cafe in Brighton, definitely go there for Lebanese.
Love Lebanese food.
Lebanese tapas is what we had on Saturday.
Yeah. George only, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Most Americans don't know that history predates 1775. Yeah, that's true as well. It's going to be the 250th anniversary of America next year. I don't know why Trump has to be in charge at this time. He's put his face on all the stuff for the forestry service. If you go anywhere in like national parks and stuff, you're going to see Trump's face. And there's going to be a new $1 coin or something minted that's got Trump's face on it to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the first design. He was on both sides.
What Britain should do, I think, is, because I've had this all over the world as well, basically. But we should just start a campaign next year going, we've got no idea what it is you guys are celebrating. 1770 what was it? What was that? Basically. Because the easiest way to offend American is when they say, what about 1776? And you go, what happened then? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I was once in I used to do talks around Europe for various things, and every country I went to, I used to apologize for whatever we'd done to them in one way or another. Even if I didn't know, I'd just stand up and say, hi, I'm Mike, I'm from the UK, and I'm sorry.
So sorry
for
about
whatever it was we did. But I went to Denmark and I thought, this is fine. I could just go to Denmark and say, you should apologize. You're the ones that invaded us.
Coming over, Lindisfarne. You still remember Lindisfarne?
So I said this, right? And I'm going to get this date wrong, right? And they all looked at me, these dates, and went, what about 1894? Or whatever year it was, basically. And I went,
Siege of Copenhagen.
No. Sorry, I've got no idea.
It's when we got the boat and we blasted a load of cannonballs at Copenhagen from the harbour. We blew it all up.
Every year they have a national day off for this, and they're all celebrating that the English were thwarted, and we were kind of going, sorry, didn't know.
But yeah,
I don't know how you teach any of this. I think there should be a way. It's a bit like critical race theory, isn't it? Basically, it's like the right will pick on it if we found a curriculum that we could teach.
Yeah.
Where you could say, look, there were some good things that came for this country out of the empire, and there was a few things that came for the countries that we made part of the empire. But make no mistake, we didn't put railways in so that people could commute backwards and forwards from their mansions in India. We did it so we could steal all their shit, basically.
Yeah. Kieran Crosson's in there with a £2 super chat, 1776, lucky fucking escape day. Thank you very much to that, Kieran. But yeah, I think on both sides of the Atlantic, and this is stateside, so it's supposed to be talking about America more than anything. I think an appreciation of just what has gone before and what has been built, and I think it's very telling that Trump has so little time for artists like Rob Reiner. Like, he has so little time for architecture that's not to his taste. Like at the White House, he completely demolished the East Wing without permission. He has no time for what made America great, which is immigration.
Yeah.
Someone had on Facebook the other day that someone had put when they take a screen cap of a tweet or whatever, some right winger would put like 1960 America was 90% white, and then in 1970 it was 88%, and then it was 84%, and it said 2025. I think I had like a question mark because they haven't added it up yet, but it was like 70%. It was just like, oh, okay, whatever. And someone wrote underneath 1492, 0% white people in America, 0%. And I thought, yeah, that's what we should bear in mind. And I do feel like Britain as a country, should be really grateful to the other countries around the world, the Commonwealth and beyond, for making Britain what it is today. I also feel like America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa should be really fucking appreciative of the fact that they could live there, and the culture in the place that they came to, and they were allowed to fucking stay, and that the people who were there didn't just kill them all the time, which they could have done.
That's what's screwed up about Thanksgiving, isn't it, in the States, really?
Yeah.
Because the reality is that the first settlers would have died without help from the Native Americans.
Yeah,
and then
that's what they're being thankful for.
Themselves, they started killing
all
the Native Americans.
No, they said, you can have North Dakota. They split the Dakotas into two, and said, well, we'll stay in South Dakota. You can have North Dakota to yourselves. And so the Dakota tribe went up there, and they were living there, and then they discovered gold, and they went, oh, okay. And they all went into the Dakotas, and all these gold prospectors turned up, and you had these new towns set up. And the Native Americans who lived there were like, excuse me, we had a deal, we had a contract, we had a treaty. This is our land. And they're like, no.
And it
doesn't mean shit.
And when
you
go,
piece of paper.
When you go further back, right, again, with my new interest in Mexican history, you realize that the Incas, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Olmecs, or whatever they were, there were waves of civilization in Central America and South America that all came down, originally, 12,000 years ago. It came down through North America, through the whole of North America, and many of the tribes in North America are the people that first came there 10, 12,000 years ago. Even before that, they're finding history now that goes back 20, 25,000 years, basically.
Yeah.
But then what you realize is that the Incas actually were, and the Mayans were trading. Their position in Central America meant that they were trading between North America and South America constantly. There were huge civilizations in both continents, both chunks of the continent. And then we just turn up 200 years ago or 400 years ago, or whatever it is, and say, no, we're having this. And then in North America in particular, they just eradicated all of that, the history of those civilizations.
Yeah.
Luckily with things like LIDAR now, they're starting to find it, but incredible major works. But yet we look at the Incas, North Americans look at the Incas as this ancient civilization and ignore the fact that there was one in their own land and their own doorstep that was trading with them successfully and building their own empire that was destroyed by.
Do you want to know something though? The oldest public
at least the Spanish recorded Inca and Mayan history, basically. At least they actually wrote some of it down. But whereas we and the French and whoever else invaded North America, basically, we didn't. We eradicated it. Nobody bothered to sit down and write down what was there and what they found.
Yeah, I was going to say the oldest private school in Britain is older than the Mayan Empire.
Yeah,
that's a bit
because it's 1400s, isn't it?
I agree, and I wish that things had been different in the past, but this is the situation we are in the world right now, and it's because of travel. It's because Europeans fucking left where they were and went and bothered people in other parts of the world. And for Europeans, especially ones living in America, to turn around now and say, oh, that's it, we're full. Fuck off.
Yeah,
that fucks me off so much, because it's like, no, you came here, mate. If you don't like it, go home. Come back. Actually, we don't want them. We don't have enough food for the fuckers. Have you seen the size of the mic? Not all Americans are huge. Not all Americans.
I definitely think we were glad to see the back of the Pilgrims, weren't we?
Yes. They were miserable bastards.
Bye.
We had waves of emigration from the UK. And I think the first big one was the boring bastards who whitewashed all the churches, the ones who wanted to close down the theatres. They murdered actors and burnt down theatres because they thought they were decadent. They wanted all the brothels shut down. They wanted all the alehouses shut down. Just boring bastards who just wanted everyone to sit there and fucking, pray every minute of the day. And most people weren't into that. They might have a little bit of religion, but they weren't, mad about it. And so we got rid of all the Puritans. See you later, knobheads. And then a few years later, we were like, we've got a lot of criminals in these new cities that we've got because of the Industrial Revolution. We have cities now. What are we going to do with all these criminals? send them to Australia. Got rid of them all. It's brilliant. See you later. And then we're part of the EU, and we can get rid of all the knobheads because they'll all go to fucking Benidorm and stay there until they died, and it'd be great. But unfortunately, then we left the EU, and they've all come back, and they're all putting up fucking flags now all over our villages for some reason because they want to bring down the house prices.
Not to be too, just so that we accept our responsibility and equivalence, basically. Isn't Trump kind of doing the same thing now? Isn't he basically saying, no, this is our country, we've set the borders, we're stealing all the money from everybody else, and if you're a criminal, we want to deport you, we don't want you in the country anymore.
Yep.
You know, Venezuela's becoming his version of Australia, effectively. They'll take it over and they'll just send everybody there.
To Venezuela. You were going to Venezuela. Yeah. And they'll have an excuse because there was one Venezuelan criminal who did something naughty. You know, it's like, well, can we just get rid of all the people called Trump who do something naughty? Because they're called Trump. How about that?
They're rich. Exactly, they're rich.
Trump crime family. They are rich, so they get away with it. But Inertia Mass is in the chat. They're saying, indeed, the Australia Corp, New Zealand Division, NZACs, and Canadian Corp were probably the best fighters in the British Army during World War One. We wouldn't have won without them. Yeah. I used to have this,
and they were sold a lie as well. You know. I mean, they still had to fight for their independence at the end. It wasn't a gift for them. Nobody negotiated that at the beginning of it all, basically.
What, Australia and New Zealand? No, Australia was sort of independent. They had federation in, I think, 1901.
Oh, okay.
So that was sort of quasi-independence. But yeah, women, it was half-assed given the vote.
It was mainly India. Was it India that we?
Yeah, India. We said, oh yeah, we'll sort you out. Don't worry. And we said the same thing after World War II. Oh yeah, don't worry, we'll sort you out. And then they were just like, fuck off. But India became, especially in the wake of the war, financially unviable for Britain to stay in. It wasn't a moral decision to leave India. It was a financial decision. It's a bit like slavery. Slavery didn't end because someone grew a fucking set of morals. It was because it wasn't economically viable. It was cheaper and easier to just employ people for poverty wages and let them sort out their own food and accommodation.
And I guess that's the key thing about progressiveness, isn't it? That you did need to have some voices out there who were saying slavery is bad. They had to be around all the time, didn't they? But they were probably ostracized and treated badly by society while they were saying it, and everyone was making money. And then when it, as you say, when they got to a point where there was an economic tipping point, it's like climate change.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, even in the last 30 years, I'd argue that has changed dramatically from when I was younger, when it was, you know, if you were into the environment, that was seen as a weird hippie movement. And now it's become a mainstream scientific conversation. And now you've just got the last bit to go, which is the economic argument to say it's cheaper to do it this way and you can make just as much money.
Yeah.
Rich people, basically, but you're going to have to invest in wind farms instead of oil rigs.
Well, that's the dream, isn't it? Let's uncouple ourselves from the big fucking oil train, chugging through town, spreading pollution and death everywhere it goes. That's what we should do. Okay, right. So we've had a little bit of a bumper show today. We've gone on for 1 hour and 23 minutes, Mike. We have been, well, at least I've been here. I've been on. But thanks for coming on at the last minute. I only asked you once it started because you texted me.
That's it. I didn't do well there. It's because I can't make it Friday. So
yeah, you texted me to say you can't make it Friday just as I started the show, and I was like, okay, come on now.
I didn't realise I got your schedule wrong there, so that's cool.
Did you? 2 minutes past 9, you sent me a message.
Well, there you go. And then we're live.
And then yes, see how it works. I love being my own producer sometimes.
Very quick whinge about the NHS. I spent all day. It genuinely is getting better, right?
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah.
But today, because, you know, I've got a problem with one of the doctors in my hospital on a sort of moral sense, and also, you know, please don't bring a knife anywhere near me. You might be dangerous. I'm having to go to Guildford to go and get my care, which means I've got to go. I've got a MRI scan, a CT scan, and a sigmoidoscopy to do before Christmas. And they're all in Guildford. And I'm like, do you think I could do them all on the same day? And it is possible. Like they're all really good at giving me appointments within 3 or 4 days, but
Yeah.
none of them can make it happen on the same day. So I've got an appointment at 25 minutes past 7 in the morning on Saturday in
Jesus.
Guildford, which is 60
Just
miles away. If I
stay
could
up all
fly
night.
there,
Just stay up all night. Have you got a car?
well, again, no, I don't. So I have to hire a car for each of these appointments, basically.
Fuck.
I know, yeah. And
Like,
almost anywhere else as well, it would be fine. I would get the train, but you can't
yeah.
really get a train. It would take me 3 hours to get to Guildford on the train. So.
I feel bad talking about any of my medical issues compared with yours that seem quite minor. But I've been waiting 2.5 years to get my ADHD
I know.
diagnosis and prescription to start titration. I finally got the titration prescription today, right? Finally. Recorded delivery, had to be signed for. I wasn't here on Thursday when it turned up because it was in Liverpool, and I hadn't got back on the Friday in time. So they tried twice. I had to arrange for it to be re-delivered. I get it. I go to Boots and I go, am I going to have to pay for this? And she looks at the receipt, the prescription, and she goes, yeah. I went, can you have a look at how much it's going to be? And she went, it's going to be £86.
Jeez,
and I'm like,
it's not even a normal prescription.
A month. And she's like, well, yeah, because it's a private prescription. So because the waiting list is so long, they'll put you onto private healthcare, but it's through the NHS. But now I've got the prescription, and I just went, I can't afford that. I've survived this long without the medication, so I'm going to go and see my
Graham,
doctor and see if I can get it for just what you normally pay. Yeah.
You should be able to get it on normal prescription, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I spoke to my mate and he went, well, when I was on titration, it was free. And then I had to pay £10 a month for the prescription.
But it is that's not what this show is about, basically. But ever since the first time I was diagnosed with leukemia 12 years ago, every single time you are quietly offered the opportunity to go private by the doctor you're sitting in front of, paid for by the NHS. And there are constant paths that say, if you got money, this will be no problem.
Yeah.
If you want to do it on the NHS, then it's all going to be a bit shit, basically. And I find, I've genuinely had to spend the whole day today, organising these trips, and I've made it as convenient as I can for me. But if it just took the 3 people that I've had to deal with in the system and took their 2 hours of their wages today, basically, for me doing their job for them, you kind of go, well, that would pay for the car hire that I've got to pay for. I mean, as it is, I'm genuinely talking to a charity about whether they can donate me the money. It's kind of
wow,
because I can't not do it, but it will cost me. My economics work on how much it costs me to go and see my grandson. So it will cost me 3 trips to go and see my grandson.
Yeah.
To go and get my arse poked by a camera, basically. It's like
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm working on a cartoon tomorrow, which is like the 5 days of Christmas cancer.
Oh, cool. What, like 5 gold ring pieces?
Yeah, it does end with me going to see somebody called Mary in Madrid, so I'm fairly certain.
Gold,
starting a new religion.
And I'm a virgin. Merry bloody Christmas. Anyway, okay, well, we'll call it a night because it is 10 now. Oh my God, it's past my bedtime. So thanks very much to Mike for stepping in at the last minute there because Scott's on his birthday today. He's on his birthday jollies. So I'm big thank you to Indy, Duckmel and Diz and Sarah and Plum and Elle and One Angry Pagan and just everyone in the chat. Thank you for being so lovely and so kind and for looking out for each other. If you want access to the Politics Social Discord server so you can continue the conversation with the lovely socialites in the chat, just give me a message through grahamdavidhughes.com. You can either join the channel and that'll give you access, or if you're a bit hard up at the moment, it is Christmas, so just give me a message and I'll sort you out with access to the Discord server where you can have bulletin board style fun and you can party like it's 1999, except with videos. So that's quite cool. You can video call each other if you want to. So Mike, thank you so much for stepping in.
Pleasure.
Are you still moving?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, you stopped there. I thought you
Thank you.
glitched out. And to everyone else, I hope to see you in the morning, bright and early at 9 o'clock for the morning brew. What day is it tomorrow? It's
Tuesday.
I'm doing that thing. You get up to Christmas and New Year, you lose track of the days, don't you? And a big shout out to Plum Duff for that amazing mega chat. That was so kind of you, Plum. Really appreciate that.
Thanks, Plum Duff.
Give us a like before you head off into the night. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider giving us a subscribe. And until next time, I just want to say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Bye.